plugged in. Let's open it up for questions, please.
If you look at the first 40 minutes of that game on Saturday, with Eli in particular, from your observation, from film, and from talking to him, what wasn't working? What was missing in that stretch?
Yeah, I thought we started fast. We came out moving the ball. We had some explosives early in that first drive. We had some game plan plays like always, right? We're trying to get guys open. And I think, anytime you're trying to prepare for the 3 safety look, in 1 week, because you don't play it a lot, right? Like as a quarterback, that middle field guy, it's a little different, right? Growing up, you're used to having 2 safeties, and now you got 3. So I just kind of felt like early in the game, he was a little hesitant, and obviously trusting the game plan, trusting what we're calling, and just playing fast, right? And a lot of that has to do with just, the defense and what they do. And, obviously we're going to run the football, versus a light box like that, which we did. And we had a couple penalties early in the first half that I think hurt us after we had some big runs. But, I still want to throw the football, right? Like you can't just, you still want to attack people and try to, get some guys open. So, he's just got to understand the game plan a little bit better and trust the game plan, right? And understand, like, hey, even though we're playing 3 safeties, we're still going to try to throw it and get some guys open. And I think, in the second half you saw that. We had some other game plan plays, some stuff that we put in that week that we ended up hitting in the second half because he trusted it. And he saw it, from on the film on the sideline. Like, man, I just got to trust what's in and just believe in what we're doing.
Hey, what was it like working with him through the adversity in that game?
It was great, man. The one thing about Eli is he's very mature and poised. You can look, and that's why I love to be on the sideline. Like every time he came off the field, there was no worry. There was no blaming somebody else. Right, he's a leader. Like he takes responsibility. He understands when he messes up. Like we're watching the iPad and he's like, yeah, you're right, man. Like that's on me. He's taking responsibility and he's telling the players that, and it's great. The players saw it too in the first half, and they know that, man, he could have, hit us a couple times or that, but he went over to him and be like, hey, that's on me. Like it's my responsibility, and it's on me, and I got to get the job done. And that's who Eli is. Going into halftime, he goes, that first half's on me. I'm gonna play a lot better in the second half. And he literally told me that running off the field, and that just makes you confident, man, with a guy who who wants the ball in his hands. He's not scared to have that responsibility.
After the game, Eli said that he kind of got himself out of the funk by playing a little faster, not hunting the big play as much. But how do you coach him to play smart without being too conservative?
Yeah, really, the first half, man, when you're looking at it, if they're dropping 8, right, like that's what that defense wants you to do. They want you to hold onto the ball. They want you to scramble behind the line of scrimmage and try to throw the ball, on the move, right? And when they have 8 people down the field, when it's not there. And if you watch the second half, he was just playing in rhythm. When he was hitting his back foot, he was either getting the ball with his hands quick so our guys could run with it, or he was taking off and running past the line of scrimmage, which now was putting a lot of issues. That's why you saw a lot more blitz, and we were running the ball well in the second half, and you saw a lot more where they had to be more aggressive to stop us, and that's what got our one-on-ones in the second half, and obviously we won and hit those. So him just understand that, hey, just because they're not rushing a lot of guys and they're not pinning their ears in, doesn't mean that, hey, I gotta hold on to the ball, right? I gotta still play in rhythm, still be a quarterback, still get the ball in my hands, and let the playmakers make plays.
He talked a lot about using his legs in the second half,
Yeah.
and obviously that was big for the comeback. How crucial do you think that is with his game, and how big will it be for the offense?
I think it's always big. Anytime you got a guy that understands football, that can throw with anticipation, that does get the ball of his hands quick when he does get blitzed. Anytime you got a guy who can step up, one thing he has, I think, is he has a great feel for the pocket. There's so many times where he's sliding around and stepping up in the pocket and creating space and then finding running lanes. And anytime, as much as we throw it right, you don't want a guy that holds onto the ball and takes sacks. You don't want a guy that's trying to force it down the field all the time, right? You want someone that, hey, we're going to throw it a lot. Like, this ain't an offense where, hey, you're only going to get 20, 15 throws a game, right? So, you might throw it 30, 40, 50 times some games, just depending on the game. But, you want a guy who, bam, when their ball hits their back foot, they get rid of the ball. Or they take off and run, right? Because as a play caller, right, I can be a lot more aggressive calling the game when I have a guy who checks the ball down, who takes off and runs for a 4-yard gain, because now we're staying ahead of the sticks. And you watch the second half, that's what we did. We stayed ahead of the sticks, and we made them play our type of game.
Are you surprised that a redshirt freshman who's able to show all these characteristics and not get flustered?
It's hard to find that type of guy. I'll tell you this, I'm not surprised because if you look at him in high school, he's a 3-year starter, played a bunch of football, won a state championship as a junior. He's had to lead people before. He's played a lot of football, even though it hasn't been in college. So, the more you play at quarterback, the more you get experience, the more you see things, the better you're going to get, right? And the farther ahead you're going to be as a young guy, So, I don't think he's a project guy, right? Like, he's not a guy that's like, man, in 2 or 3 years, will be his time, right? Like, I think he's going to get better and better and better. The more comfortable he gets in the offense, the more trust he has. Because I game plan a lot different than other people, and the way we try to do things and try to create plays. So, just trusting the game plans and trusting what we got in, and he's learning that now. He's like, yeah, I just gotta trust what's getting called, and I just gotta play football,
When you say you game plan differently than other OCs, what exactly does that mean? What can you say about that?
I think I don't always try to rely on talent. I think there is times where your guys got to go win one-on-one, and they have to win. But I feel like I'm always trying to find ways to get an advantage, right? Whether it's an angle or a secondary release or something to where we can get the right leverage to go win, right? I'm going to move our guys around and try to create big plays by the way we do it, not just by our guys being talented. So, for me, we're always going to game plan. We're going to put stuff in, and we're going to call it. I've always believed that, like, if you're going to practice something all week, shit, call it, right? Like, don't be scared to call it, Like, the kids want to have confidence. Like, I think that's what's the biggest thing right now is we're a confident team. Like, our players believe in what we're doing. They know that I'm going to call it. Hey, we got to go execute. And when it comes down to it, like, they want that responsibility. And I feel like, good players and guys that want to be great, they're okay with having that responsibility, and I just got to put them in position to make those plays.
Kate, what do you remember about the first time you met Des, and how much did you, when you came here, like, hey, I want this guy with me?
Yeah, the funny thing is I was Des' first offer when he was a sophomore in high school. He was always a great player. He's been a great player his whole life, even in Little League. He was a great player. He's always been a tough kid. I mean, he ran for, like 250 yards on one of the best teams in the country, St. Thomas Aquinas, as a senior. He was the MVP of that All-Star game that y'all talked about. He had over 200 yards rushing in the All-Star game. He's just always been, no matter, who he's playing against, he's always been a great player on the field. But, when he was already in the portal for a couple weeks before I got here, and he was going somewhere else, and obviously when I got that opportunity, to sell him and say, hey, this is a guy that can help us here, and not just as a player, but you talk about a guy who does things the right way. You're talking about a guy who's unselfish. He never asks for the ball. He never complains. He's always in here doing extra. He's just my type of guy. I want guys that love football as much as me, right? I want guys that want to play in the NFL. I want guys that want to be pros. And he just brings that type of mentality, that kind of chip on your shoulder, prove yourself, and you're not scared to fail. And so that's what I like about Des.
Did you have to sell him to your dad when you started living 5'8"?
Oh, yeah, anybody, man. It's funny. It's kind of like a quarterback we had at Valdosta we ended up signing who won a state championship, who ended up being player of the year after we left. But, he was a 5'9", 5'10" quarterback. He was a 3-year starter, player of the year there, went to the CFL after college. But I had to sell him too, because my dad's a bigger guy. My dad played, in the league, so he's a 6'3", big old hands, long dude. And but Des' film was just so special. I mean, it wasn't just the long runs or the explosiveness. I mean, he was running through people, which he does now, right? Like, he's a physical football player. And I think speed matters. Obviously you want guys that can run, but being tough, like that's what makes great players. Like, you can't just be fast. This isn't track. You got to play football. So he's a football player, not a fast guy,
As he said, we were leaving the stadium on Saturday, that when he played down at Arkansas, he thought Cincinnati was louder than that. You guys have been down there rooting together, but do you have an idea, having played in an environment like that, what Saturday's going to look like, rivalry games, and you guys people?
We've had a couple big ones throughout Western. We went to Oklahoma, and then Arkansas was at their stadium, so I think that's why it probably wasn't that loud. It was at another stadium, but yeah, man, Cincinnati was loud, man. I mean, it was loud. Student section was going. They were doing all the Pitt stuff, and but no, this is going to be an awesome atmosphere. I haven't been here since it's been at home with it like this. So how's it going to be when we're on offense? How's it going to be when we're on defense? Right? Obviously, it's a huge rivalry, man, that I grew up watching. Growing up in the kind of the Big East era, right? Pitt, West Virginia. I mean, shoot, man, I was always watching those games on TV growing up. So I knew about this rivalry from before. I knew how much it mattered. And I'm excited to just be a part of it. And obviously, we want to go out and play hard and play the game the right way, and hopefully the results speak for itself.
Hey, speaking of playing the right way in a rivalry game like this where the emotions are so high,
Yeah.
what do you preach to your players about just the controlled emotions?
I think just control who we are. You know, like we don't have to prove anything. You know, we know who we are as people. We know who we are as a program. We know what we believe in. You know, Coach Dews, right? Like, we want to do things the right way. You know, we're going to play the right way. We're going to act the right way. You know, I don't want. You know, we're not going to play unselfish. You know, like you know, even though it's a rivalry, it's going to be a physical game. We know that. It's going. You know, it's always been like that since the beginning. We can't let that affect what we do. We got to worry about ourselves and let the game speak for itself.
What have you seen from West Virginia's defense so far, just from watching film?
You know, obviously the DC's been there for a while. You know, they do a lot of different stuff. You know, they're an odd front, and they play some even front too. And so they do a little bit of everything. You know, they play in the Big 12, so they've had to defend a lot of tempo offenses, spread offenses. You know, they do a lot of different stuff. You know, every game plan to me, they're a little bit different. You know, they'll play some, quarters, some man, some three. They kind of switch it up depending on who they're playing. And to me, we just got to be able to handle the different fronts. And obviously, you know, are they going to blitz us or are they not going to blitz us, right? Like, we got to be able to handle it, you know. If they don't blitz us, we got to be able to get the ball in our hands and play fast. And if they do, we got to be able, like I said, not take sacks and get rid of the football. And so we just got to do a good job of early in the game, like I said, making adjustments. I always talk about that, right? Like, how are they playing us? How are they attacking us? So then we can go attack them and you know, and take advantage of what they're trying to do to us.
Are there similarities between what they do and what Cincinnati did that could help Eli? Like you talked about Eli with the 3 safeties last week.
Yeah.
Do they do similar stuff? That he's seen it now a little bit?
A little bit. They've kind of showed it you know, a couple times before. They've kind of jumped into it in the games, or like, you know, they do play an odd front. So, you know, last week's was an odd front too, just a little different odd front, but it's still something that at least we've protection wise and run game wise we have a thought of what we want to do, but still, you know, you got to be ready for anything, man. It's a rival game, right? You know, they've only played 2 games, right? They could be saving everything for Pitt, you know? So we just got to be prepared to make adjustments and get him comfortable early in the game. And as long as we get get him going, man, and start fast. You know, I really want to start fast this week, and hopefully if we do that, you know, we'll have momentum, and we just got to hold on to the momentum, right? Big games like this, and my dad always told me it's like, you know, you can't give the momentum back, right? Once you get it, you got to hold on to it as long as you can, and I think if we do that, man, we'll have a good shot.
How much did you save?
What's up?
How much did you save for this game?
Oh, we always got new stuff. You know, I think every week's different. You know, different defenses, different feel of the game. You know, what do we need to do to score? You know, like I said, man, every game's going to be different. We're going to look different every game because we're trying to attack the team that we're playing. You know, we're not worried about next week. We're not worried about the week before. What do we need to do on offense to score points versus West Virginia and win the game? That's all I care about. So, you know, we're always going to just be aggressive and give our guys confidence to go play.
Let's take a final one. What's the biggest?
Yeah,
Justin, go ahead.
Yeah, going off that confidence, Eli, obviously a redshirt freshman, it's going to be a tough environment. Just how confident are you that he's going to be able to go out and kind of handle that pressure?
Yeah, I feel confident. You know, I think you know, as crazy as the game was last week, and coming back and playing in that environment and having success in the fourth quarter and third, and you know, and getting on that run for a young guy, man. I mean, that's big. You know, like now he knows what it feels like to play in a pressure situation when everything's against you, and you know, and understand that, hey, man, like I'm used to this. You know, I'm used to this pressure, and obviously it's a big game and it's going to be loud and it's going to be packed. But you know, for him, man, I think that gave him a lot of confidence and shows that, hey, you know, this is what it's going to be like when we play in these big games. And now I know how to handle it, because handling adversity is the biggest thing in anything in life or football, right? Like nothing's ever going to be perfect. You know, there's going to be some quarters that are better than others. There's going to be some drives that, you know, it's going to take us a little bit to get going. But guess what? He got to be able to handle it, and I think he showed that last week that he can do that.
Coach, thank you very much. Thanks to everybody here for joining us.